Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling Diaries, another awesome episode, the podcast show for the average Joe. What does the regular, normal person in society wrestle with? Today's my guest is Corey. What's your last name?
Smith, man.
Smith. Corey Smith, like Agent Smith. From,
That's it, man.
the Major.
009.
009. I love it. Thanks for being on the show, man. I appreciate it. We're going to talk about some cool topics today. Corey's somebody that I've known in the past, and so he agreed to be on the show. I mean, I had to like threaten him.
Yeah, he threatened me with a massive amount of hugs and kisses.
Right. And he was like, all right, man.
It's all right, man.
Stop trying to kiss me.
That's all I need, man. Just a little encouragement. But I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, man. I'm glad. Have you ever done a podcast before?
No. I've been a part of one as far as filming, but not been actual on the show.
What do you mean, like, by filming? Like,
just shooting me in the background.
Okay. Cool. What was it? What was the podcast?
The podcast is a friend of mine, TNT, Thick Not Thin. They have a podcast.
Shout
they
out.
usually work on Sundays around 3 o'clock. Check out the YouTube channel. It's really great. Some good friend of mine, Melissa, good friend of mine, Terrence, and a friend of theirs named Adrian. And they do a really good work. They talk about all different types of topics and sometimes we do it from the home, and sometimes when I'm not needed, it's probably at the radio show.
Nice. Yeah. See, that's what we're trying to build here. We're trying to build some kind of something. So everybody's like, oh my God, it's the Wrestling Diary guys.
I mean, you got to start somewhere, man.
Yeah, you do got to start. I know a guy that actually runs a radio. I don't know him. I know of him through my community work stuff. He runs a non-profit radio station out in Alabaster. And he does like voiceover work or something. So he actually goes out to California to like film or record rather, like voiceover work for cartoons.
Man, that's big business. Voiceover work, man. You'll be surprised. It's like Uncle Phil, Fred Avery played Shredder.
Yeah,
a lot of people didn't know that.
Dude, I saw a clip on YouTube about that. I was like, what? And then when I started listening to voice, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense.
It makes so much sense.
I grew up on Ninja Turtles. I never would have pieced that together, man. I love that dude. He's great.
I love Ninja Turtles. Shout out to TMNT.
Oh yeah. When I was a kid, you know, my I'll never forget that. I think I was in kindergarten, maybe it was pre-K, but we had like this thing where it was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so you had all the traditional answers, right? Like firefighter, astronaut, doctor. Yeah. And mine was a pizza delivery boy.
Hey, Power Ranger.
You're right. Okay. And then I remember my brother being like, dude, why pizza delivery boy? You ain't gonna make any money, you idiot. And I was like, no, it's because the Ninja Turtles, they order a lot of pizzas, so maybe I'll get an order from them. And plus I can eat all the pizza I want, and pizza's my favorite food. And that's what I based my dream career as like a 5-year-old off of.
But hey, man, when people ask 5-year-olds, what do you want to be when you grow up? And if a 5-year-old says they want to be a doctor, lawyer, anything of any significance, you need to get that kid checked out.
I know. I feel like that's their parents.
Because he has no influence on that dream whatsoever. When I was 5, I wanted to be an X-Men. I wanted to be part Wolverine, part Ninja Turtle, part Power Ranger. Like, let the kids be kids and let's fantasize, man.
Yeah, we're a bunch of dorks here. I'm wearing an X-Men shirt. He's wearing what's this again?
You got Naruto.
Kakashi
Sensei.
Kakashi. So anybody that's like avid with anime, they know exactly what you're talking about. I haven't seen the show.
Oh, Mariwa. My anime people, they know what that means.
That's so cool, man. Yeah, I grew up on X-Men. I love X-Men.
Yeah, I just finished Disney Plus. I just got finished watching like
the series
of all the original OG X-Men.
So I heard through the grapevine, I don't know like how legitimate the information is, but about them revamping the animated series show from the 90s and not like starting over or rebooting, but picking up where they left off, because they kind of finished on like a weird note. It wasn't like
the last season 5 of X-Men ended with just like past stories and old stories.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
It just ended. But that's on the reason it ended is because a lot of people don't know, Marvel was broke.
Yeah, right.
This series, amongst the old Spider-Man cartoons and all it went from Marvel lost a lot of went flat broke because nobody was buying comics like they used to, and then it went from Marvel to Marvel Studios, which is the emblem on the end of the show of Marvel's X-Men, as well as Spider-Man, the old TV show.
From the 90s.
Yep, from the 90s. And what saved them was, as crazy as it may sound, Wesley Snipes' Blade. The Blade content series for the first live action film grossed them $92 million,
Dang, dude.
which brought them out of bankruptcy.
This dude knows his nerd culture. I like this guy.
I'm an avid. I watched this web series called Blurred for the Black Nerds.
It's a web series?
It's a description on YouTube. It's called Blurred. He also comes on Facebook. So
nice.
I just like getting my culture in because it's okay to be weird, and it's even cooler to love all that good stuff.
Yeah, 100%. So I used to be the patient care manager, basically the office manager of a doctor's office, and I've always been a very avid reader. I've always like since I picked up the first book I ever picked up was like a Spider-Man number 62 or something, and I couldn't read it, but I was looking at the panels right as a kid, and I was like, oh, I got to have more of this. And so it gave me incentive to start reading, right? And as I got older, I started reading all kinds of stuff. And I had a friend that came over, a professional friend once, that came over to my house and had this huge bookcase, right? And on the shelf, I have like books on fitness, physiology, psychology, biology, political science, biography, all kinds of like health and nutrition, poetry, old English literature, Greek mythology, all this stuff. And then there's a huge just chunk of the bookcase that's nothing but comic books and graphic novels. And this guy saw this and he goes, he's like, man, he's like, Mitchell, I'm actually surprised that, is this yours? And I was like, oh yeah, the comic books? Yeah, heck yeah. And he's like, I'm really surprised, man, because I thought you were like an intellectual, like you're pretty smart and you read a lot of good material and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I look at reading like, it's my healthy eating is, reading like
how you feed the soul,
physiology or history. But then my junk food, my pizza, my nachos is my comic books. I was like, but even then I don't feel like that's a good comparison because it's, for me, I told him, I was like, he was like, yeah, but they're a bunch of like, they're for kids. They're a bunch of fantasy stories. They're not real. And I was like, dude, it's what it is it's our generation's Greek mythology. It's about like, and that's what I told him. And he's like, wow, I don't think I've ever heard anybody like, wax poetic about, the importance of comic books. I was like, dude,
like comic books come from a time period where when comic books first started, it was to show people that people from different planets, different colors, different backgrounds, different kind of credos, religions or whatever were able to cultivate together to fight injustice as well as fight for the people, to bring people closer together. Like comic books, a lot of people try to downplay graphic novels because it has pictures, but like a lot of those graphic novels have really big words in them. Especially if you're dealing with like X-Men, you got Professor X. You think Professor X is just gonna give you a plain sentence, or Beast? Beast is always gonna articulate and verbalize his thought pattern to you. So
what I love about Beast is he's a scientist, so he's very scientific and smart, but he's also a poet. He always he's
a doctor.
He recites poetry and philosophy and stuff like that. I always loved Beast for that. Yeah, dude, it's huge. It's also comic books and stuff. They fall into that classic story of like a person who's just like they're a loser, they're crap, right? And then they become this like godlike person, right? You go from zero to hero, and everybody loves that story about how someone's life is all screwed up. You're like Peter Parker or whatever. He's a nerd, and then he just gets the greatest power of all time. And he learns a lesson from it, and he becomes just this godlike human. That's everybody loves that kind of story. A zero to hero story.
I mean zero to hero is the best. Me personally, because I like to play devil advocate, I like to go from zero to villain.
Oh, you like the anti-heroes?
I am the anti-hero. I love anti-heroes because those are the stories that people like. The reason why I like Blade is because Blade is an anti-hero. A lot of people think he's like a hero, but he's an anti-hero. He does not like human beings because he thinks they don't know anything. They don't care to know anything.
Sure, they're weak.
He don't like familiars because they work for vampires. But he's trying to help, but in his own way, he's still fighting the battle within himself. How do you hate something that's also a part of you?
Yeah.
So,
100%.
and then you got Venom. You
Oh
got
yeah, I love
people
Venom.
like one of my favorite anti-hero, Lobo from
Oh yeah, yeah,
DC.
yeah. You
Like
bastage.
he's a rock star from the galaxy who likes to pillage and plunder, but he'll do a couple good deeds if you give him a couple beers
Yeah.
and some nice stogies. So
Dude, yeah, dude. And then, dude, Punisher. Punisher,
as
just an average guy with guns
like you
and like
have to have
ex
an
military.
ass in your group in order for your
Mm,
group to succeed. Like
100%.
you got to have your nice guy. You got to have a guy who's willing, like the town with what's his name,
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Mhm.
When he goes, I need you guys to come with me. We're gonna some people up. We're gonna do some very bad things. And you need that friend of the group whose car we driving.
Right.
That's it. No
Yeah.
questions asked. Just
Yeah,
whose
that
car we
was I
driving.
don't remember, that was his best friend Jeremy Renner's character. Yeah.
So you need a
Love
little
that, man.
you need a little Malcolm X to go with that Martin Luther.
Sure, sure.
So
Kind of deviating the topic, you're talking about Malcolm X. There's a lot of craziness going on in the world right now. This is going to be a crazy subject change. People are like, why you just went from comic books to talking about this? But what does it feel like to be a young black man living in this time and age in this country?
you have that's a good question because
It's a
I
very
believe
involved question.
being a black man in this world society is a double-edged sword as well as a two-sided coin.
What do you mean by that?
Double-edged sword, like I can progress to, black people have progressed beyond our wildest imagination from where we started from.
Okay.
To us being CEOs of corporations and bringing more value to the life of our own people with our own heroes like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. You have those people who follow those footsteps of great people who showed them what it took to be better in your own community.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have that rage and that anger that you have because you grow up having a target on your back just because of how you look.
Yeah.
And it's not that you want to cause harm. It's not that you want to, like, I had a conversation with my lady the other day. She said, well, why do you have that anxiety and why do you have that fear? Like, you're not doing anything wrong. Why do you have that anxiety and fear when you're around police officers? I said, because growing up, I've experienced unwanted racism for just simply existing somewhere where somebody didn't think I belong.
Right.
And you get nervous and the anxiety builds up because you don't want to do anything wrong, even though you're not doing anything wrong. It's just a simple fact that anything can be misconstrued. Skittles, having a bag of Skittles and a tea in your hand can be confused as a weapon, pulling out your cell phone. Even me myself, like I get nervous around the police, but if I had to pull out my inhaler, somebody's gonna be like, "It's a gun," because if you hold it in your hand like this, it can look like a small 38.
Yeah, I don't want to deviate from what you're saying, but he totally is a nerd because he has an inhaler in the anime shirt. Sorry.
So I mean, I am. I'm
kidding,
fine
I'm
with it.
kidding. I'm just messing
I
with you,
love
man.
every part about it, but
Continue, please.
those things is that those are things that we have to worry about. In my culture, like I had like to know that we had to have a conversation with our young adults and our kids about how we to act when we're pulled over by police officers. And like my uncle has a sign in his house right now to this day. When you get pulled over, it says, "Stop talking, don't resist, put your hands on the steering wheel."
Wow, it's like a guideline.
And it's right there by his door when you walk out. And and my uncle's 65 years old, so he grew up in a time period 65 years ago. Black people only had the right to vote for the past 60 years. So 5 years after him coming into this world, he wasn't considered somebody who had rights.
Right. What do you think? Why is there racial profiling, especially with like police? Like, what is that? What is the point of that? Why is that a thing? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, fear is a hell of a motivator.
Yeah.
Like if you can, and the segue between comics and what's going on is built upon people having fear of what they don't understand. If you see somebody with wings flying around, you're automatically going to freak out because one, you've never seen it before, two, you don't understand it, and your first inkling is not to say, hey, let me get to know this thing. I'm going to get away because you're a freak. So it's just fear is the root behind racism. It is the feeling of not being that you can be counted, or the feeling as though a lot of people who are racist have a superiority complex. Like they feel like they're better, but in actuality, we all the same.
Yeah, oh, yeah, 100%. Like I've always to me like racism it never really made sense to me. I mean, I'm biracial, right? So my mom is from another world, another country, and growing up, I guess you know, I was more in like a white community because she married like white men and all this stuff. But even as a child, for me, if you were cool, like one of my best friends in school was this black guy named Adolphus, who I hate that we lost touch through the years. It just kind of happened. But I mean, we were as thick as thieves, me and this guy, and we connected on comic books and like nerd
Mm-hmm.
culture stuff, man. And we in sports, you know, that was around the time of was it? I don't know. Okay, maybe not. There was some. Maybe it was. Yeah, it was around the time that the Cowboys were winning the series in the NFL or something like that.
Back when Emmett Smith was still playing.
Yeah, I think so. And you know, we connected on that. We connected on comics. We connected on like a bunch of different stuff like that. And I just liked him because I liked him. Like I don't care like what color his skin was or what his hair looked like or where he
Mm-hmm.
lived. Like he was just a cool human,
Mm-hmm.
right? And for me, I've always looked at it as like, you know, people there's like there's good human beings
Mm-hmm.
regardless of who they are, what their race is, their religion, or whatever they believe in or whatever, and then there's just terrible humans,
Right.
right? And I feel like why isn't that, why can't that just be a thing that everybody see, like that, why isn't that vision that everybody has?
I mean, because like good versus evil, like these are life lessons that are taught to you. So like race is totally made up. Like it was something to put people in a certain type of class to say, hey, because I look like me, I'm automatically better than you because of my race. So 400 years ago, race never existed. It was never a thing because there was no separation between one person to the next, even with the color of their skin. It was just a tool, but like it's good versus evil. It's what you're being taught. If you're taught to speak Spanish, no, but you being biracial, so I'm pretty sure your mother attempted or tried to teach you her language or her culture just
A little bit.
a little bit, but because of what you were taught, because your father, you grew up speaking
English,
English.
sure.
So no, the reason why you speak English is because you were taught that.
Right, sure.
So the reason why people hate is because they're taught to hate.
That's a very good point. It's a lot of it's circumstantial or it's environmental, right? It's like the way you grow up in your environment, your society, you're part of society. And so, you know, if you grow up around people that don't like somebody for because of the color of their skin, then unfortunately, sometimes that kind of just bleeds over because this is what you know. It's just
Mm-hmm.
the same thing as like, you know, I have friends that are uh, atheist, right? And they say that, you know, well, the reason why you believe in God and all this stuff is because it's your environment and you grew up around it. And they're right about it. But, you know, some people, you get to a certain point where you understand the way the world is and you just choose to have faith
Mm-hmm.
regardless of that. But either way, there are people that do unfortunately fall into these social classes because of circumstance, because of who their parents are, because of who their grandparents are, because of what neighborhood they live in. And it's weird, you know. There's like in Singapore, you know, they have these government homes in Singapore, and there's like mandatory to where different sects of people, different classes, different races of people have to live. Like you have like Chinese, Filipino, uh, you know, English, like whatever, and they're all mixed in there on purpose. And I was listening to a podcast about this, and they were saying the reason why they do that is because it integrates culture. So there's no differential, and people aren't like weird, like, oh, I don't understand Filipinos, and the Filipinos like, I don't get like Chinese people, they're jerks or something. But they're all like they're having to live together and be neighbors, and then
Mm-hmm.
everybody, and then they go to school together, and then, you know, they share food and blah 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 blah. And so that's a very interesting system. Of course, Singapore is it's an island nation and it's halfway across the world and it's just different. But
Considered to be third world.
yeah. Well, actually, I think Singapore is actually home to a lot of rich people, so they might be considered at least second or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think like the people that are really rich that live out there, and then the people that are poor are really poor or something. I don't know how that goes.
It's just up, you're either up or down.
Yeah.
Well, well, I mean, like with everything going on with the world, man, I believe that it just starts from people just healing generational wounds
Mm-hmm.
and finding a way to. I'm big on religion,
Okay,
but
sure.
I don't force feed my religion on anyone
Okay.
because I believe that as long as you believe in something, most religions all show that love is the answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
100%. I agree with that.
loving somebody,
Well, there's probably somebody like, "Oh, he's full of crap." No, it's not.
loving somebody is more than just an intimate thing. The intimacy goes beyond just a bedroom, or to have love for somebody. I got love for you because you're a fellow man of mine. If something was to
Right.
happen to you, I would feel just as bad, not because of the color of your skin, just because I got a heart for humanity.
Right.
So if we can give racism a big injection of humanity, because that's what it really is people forgetting the human part of the humanity,
Yeah.
and learning that if I cut myself and you cut yourself, what we both gonna bleed, what the color is gonna be.
Yeah.
We all gonna bleed the same blood.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna bleed the same blood, we need to fight together to keep that blood from being spilled.
Yeah.
And
So let me ask you this question: do you, how can I word this without being weird? You don't think cops are bad, right? Like, what's your overall take on that? And then if you
all,
don't, then
all cops are not bad. I'm related to police.
right, yeah. See, I have family members that are
So
cops as well, and they would never do something. Something I was thinking about too is like when I think there should be more protocols too in the police force, and there's probably some cop that's gonna bust me for this.
I mean, you need more legislation.
Right. More legislation, and there needs to be better training protocols, because I think what happens is you get somebody who goes in there and they just get trigger happy. And I don't mean like literally, but figuratively speaking, they haven't had a lot of like training to know how to handle these situations. Because this is hot. Some of these situations as a cop, I mean, there's a lot of pressure and a lot of
a lot of people like, okay, so a cop is a civil servant.
right, first responder.
They are a first responder.
Yeah.
As a first responder, your job is to de-escalate the situation to preserve human life.
Right.
Now, when you as a first responder decide to take it upon yourself and go against the justice system and take a life, then there should be legislation. Like if Dick Gregory said that if we pass certain rules to, and it also gave incentives, all police officers, their kids get to go to college for free. But just like any other law, you get too many speeding tickets, what they're going to do?
They pull your license.
They're going to take your license.
Yeah.
So you get an infraction as a police officer, what they should do, take you off the beat and put you behind the desk. That's your first infraction. Take your license away.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Second time, if you get off that probation and you go back on the streets and you have another issue, then they need to find a way for that police officers lose something, because you need 280 hours of training to become a police officer. You need more hours than that to do hair.
Right.
To cut hair.
Yeah, I was listening to a Navy SEAL talk about the concept of how there just needs to be more training protocols. They need to go through more psychological tests, because he said as a Navy SEAL, they have to do like 16 months of psychological and physical training and combatives before they can hit the field for just 8 months. So they're training for double the amount of time that they're actually do. And I feel like, and then he said the numbers on cops were, and I don't know if there's a stat on this, but it's just what he was saying. He said that like cops have like 2 to 4 hours of training what is it, per month or per year or something crazy like that. And he was like, basically what's happening is you're taking some of these people, you're just taking an ordinary human being and giving them like,
Imagine the gun.
right, well, you're giving them extraordinary power.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like a kid, it's like a giving your 12-year-old the keys to the car, right? And so I feel like, and you know, for in some cases you end up getting these whack jobs or something. I don't know.
Like the saying goes, power corrupts, and absolute
Absolute
power
power corrupts. Absolutely.
corrupts.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely.
So it's
Absolutely.
with police officers, like there are good like there are good police officers.
Yeah,
I get that,
100%. 100%.
but it's still, as crazy as it sounds, the police is the biggest gang in the United States of America. Point blank, period. Because, but the sad part about the police being the biggest gang, they don't really protect their brothers in blue who are black outside of uniform, because when you're not wearing that uniform, you look just like the rest of us. And the issue starts because we have this whole cliche that we got good police officers. If we have good police officers, the notion is not shown that we have them because we don't see that. We don't see other police officers going against other police officers and saying, "Hey, you a racist piece of shit. You profiling these people for no reason." Like somebody always said, like, and I thought it was funny. If you got a racist cop, you should put him in the car with a black woman, another a older black female officer, because one, she's gonna turn him. She's gonna because one, 9 times out of 10, she's a mother.
Sure.
An aunt. she's gonna turn his heart just with her actions and how she treats him, as well as any of his infractions. She's gonna check him right away. Why? Because she's a mother, she's an aunt, and she's a woman. So I feel
That's
as
a
though
very interesting concept.
we should, because my cousin just became a police officer in Richmond, Virginia. Over
the guy or girl?
he's a guy.
Okay.
And he's been in the military, and he even said himself, like, I have the people he graduated with, there are going to be some officers who are going to struggle with issues with dealing with people of color out on the field. And for him to say that coming directly out of the police academy, it lets me know that it's not so much the training. It's got to be more, because to subdue somebody in a situation where they have no weapon, and again, they supposed to be first responders. The whole purpose of you being there is not like, there's no need for a police officer to even pull up to a scene with a gun if there's no shooting, there's no violent behavior taking place. What does a cop need a gun on the premises for? I mean, I'm all for cops wanting to protect themselves, but their notion is to have their hand on their gun whenever they're pulling you over because they're nervous. I get that, because you got some people that's crazy, but certain situations, if you're gonna be the first responder, be the example, be the one to de-escalate the situation, because all police officers got guns, but they also got tasers, they got mace. So if you want to de-escalate a situation, take off the live firearm, leave your taser. You got it. Most officers got on bulletproof vests. Turn on your front-facing camera and go to work.
It also, they have protocols that they're supposed to follow. They have guidelines that they have to follow. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times, most of the times that something goes haywire is because they're not following protocol. And then the like the stuff that happened up in Minnesota, like the other 3 cops around there, like that guy absolutely was not following protocol at all, even close. And nobody, like, I think they said 2 of the cops were rookies, and I don't know about the other guy.
Saying they didn't want to check him. They didn't want to check the officer holding down George Floyd, because it would make it look bad in front of the onlookers, who would then, they say that it would start a riot.
Right. But oh man, it's just crazy. And another thing too, that guy had like a bunch of infractions against him. Like he had like 12, and he also was involved in like 2 other shootings before that. So my point is like, why was he still like on the beat? Mm-hmm. He had like 12. And also, a lot of people don't know this. Most infractions that come against cops aren't actually from the public. The majority of infractions that cops
Or from
incur
other
are
cops.
from other cops. Because somebody's like, oh, he didn't follow protocol. She
Mhm.
didn't do this right. They were too rough. They, didn't use the right hold. They didn't blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
They didn't read the Miranda rights. And so for that to be like, for him to be just out there doing so, I don't understand that. That's bad leadership, right?
True. But you know, like I said, police officers, they have a union. When things like this happens, police officers are protected by police officers and lawyers paid by police officers paid by our tax dollars. Like, if an officer commits a crime, they fire him. That means he can get a job in another district. He's all he did was, like, if everybody got administrative leave, that would be fine. Like, if I just so happen to be at work and I'm dealing with folks at my job and they just piss me off and I'm like, I fear for my life because they ready for my voice and pow, I shot somebody. I should be sent on administrative leave. I wouldn't get that same effect. Why? Because because police officers are union. When they get in trouble, they get a union rep who is appointed with a union lawyer, and they fight the case. If they do get convicted of any kind of crime, they're automatically given a reduced sentence based upon their seniority as a police officer.
Yeah. Wow. But see, maybe you should be a cop.
Me be a cop?
Yeah, man. You're
I
a
would
big guy.
I
You're
would be a
big.
terrible police officer.
Why would you be a terrible police officer?
Because I would let so much crime just slide by. Because it's a lot of stuff that I feel
Oh
like
my
police
God.
officers should be focusing on. Like, why do we have unsolved murders, but you trying to pull me over for not having my seatbelt? I'm not speeding. I'm not going crazy. You pulling me over because I don't have my seatbelt, but it's people being shot over in the next neighborhood and being killed, and their murders being unsolved.
Yeah.
Like, I just be the cop that's gonna pull people over, be like, please slow down. Put the blunt out. Pour out the beer. Pour out the beer. I'm not gonna even take the blunt. I'm just gonna put it out right now.
Yeah.
Put your seatbelt on and keep it moving.
You'd have so many friends.
Oh yeah.
On the underground.
I'd be
like,
the best.
Yeah, Officer Smith is
like, that's what
cool.
I say. I couldn't be a cop because I'd be a good criminal.
That's pretty funny, man.
Because I just believe, like I said, they're civil servants. They're paid by the people. You know what I'm saying? And because we as a people don't have more of a control over who is policing our areas, it could be a lot better.
Another thing too, I was going to say, it's just sometimes it's just a really weird gray area. I'm not saying at all that there's not racial profiling in the police, especially in certain precincts or something like that, because apparently it is. But I've seen videos too of like cops just killing innocent people that were like, I watched a video the other day of this, and if you're a cop watching this, I'm not trying to like crap on you or whatever. I'm just telling about a story that's true.
If you're a cop watching this and you disagree, I'm crapping on your story.
But this guy, he was drunk. Somebody called the cops. They were at a hotel. He's just like this regular, just vanilla, just white boy. He was in gym shorts and a baggy tee, and he was drunk, and he was on his knees, and he was like, oh, and this cop, he was so aggressive. He's like, get on the floor now, on your knees. He's like, sir, I'm already on the floor. And he's like, don't put your hands down, or I will blow you away. And I'm like, what is he doing? This guy's like, and he was like, if you put your hands down too fast, I will shoot you. He's like, now crawl over to me. And I was like, why is he talking to this man like this?
Was it in a hotel? I think.
Yeah. It was in a hotel. It was a white guy, and
gave him like 5 different instructions at one time and shot him.
Yeah, and the guy was drunk. Like, I don't know if people knew that, but he was drunk, and so he starts crawling over, and then I think he stumbled and his hand went back or something, and the guy just blew him up.
I saw that video,
and so that's what I'm saying. Like, why is somebody like that? Why is somebody like that guy? Why is that guy working for? Serving the peace, right?
Because he 9 times out of 10,
I don't understand.
Like it's a boys' club, so like police officers know people. These are police officers. These are folks who are connected with the city. Like if you do your job as a cop, I'm sure the better you are at your job, the more people you get to rub elbows with. Police officers it's still a business. It's still a company that hires people, employees, and people of different backgrounds and different different nations and things of that nature. It's just you got ass cops, you got good cops, you got bad cops that aren't bad cops because they're they're not upholding the law. You got people who consider bad cops because they don't really want to do their job. You got some people who are police officers just for a paycheck. Like
Yeah, that shouldn't be a thing.
and
That's way too important of a
and
job.
and okay. Funny thing is you don't have a song called Fire Department. You don't have a song called Postman, but NWA called a song called The Police.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel
So
like the post office one.
I mean, you probably might have to say Amazon or
Yeah,
because they
they got
because
my
they
stuff
didn't
there late. I paid
like
extra money.
I pay extra money and I'm still waiting on my product. Like,
Anyways, I'm sorry. Keep making your point.
but it's just we have to find a way to. I'm not for defunding the police because I know we need them.
I was just about to add. That was my next question I was going to add. But go ahead. That's
But
my next
I
question.
do believe that there is.
One thing I will say real quick. Sorry to interrupt you. I don't know if they would even need to defund the police because so many people that probably wanted to be cops, like legit guys that wanted to be cops, are seeing all this and they're like, I'm good. I'm gonna go work at McDonald's.
I think personally, like we should change the police to like a, a city infiltration protection system. Like it shouldn't be the police.
What do you mean by that? What is that?
They should be more like interim security because the whole purpose of a police officer is to, like I said, protect and serve. So if you're serving the protecting and serving, if you're serving someone, that means that you're putting yourself beneath someone in order to provide them with a sense of security. Like the reason why the president has the CIA and the agents to provide him security, but guess what? They're not above him. They're not getting paid more than the president. They're getting paid to put their life on the line to say if somebody's shooting at the president, I'm going to step in front of that bullet. Like you have to find individuals who are willing to make that real sacrifice. Like I believe that if you're going to be a police officer, you need to be willing to make a sacrifice for somebody who don't look nothing like you, who you don't get no reward from, and say, hey, I'm willing to die for you. That's the reason why I respect police officers, because that's somebody saying I'm willing to die for you. But if you're willing to kill me because I don't look like you or you have different views, you shouldn't be a police officer. But defunding them, no. Passing legislation to safeguard our citizens and become harder on our police officers, yes. But defunding them, no. Take away some funds that are geared towards what they have, yes. But taking away police officers, no, we need them because I don't want to riding around the car all day looking for people speeding.
Yeah, I also another thing, the media has a really great way to put a spin on this all this stuff. It kind of they start stirring up things, like an instigator, like when you're in high school or
The language they use.
middle school, and I'm like, oh, Corey, Bob over here, he said your mom's ugly. And then he said he'd kick your ass. And then you're like, oh, he did. I'm like, yeah, man. And then I go to him and I'm like, oh, Corey said he about to beat you up. And then, from there, and I feel like that's kind of what the news does. What do you think about that?
I mean, the news is like I tell people I don't watch local news because it's
Me
crap.
either. Yeah.
Local news is
100%.
It is. They're gonna fluff you. They're gonna give you the weather, and then they're gonna scare you before they close out.
They make you not want to. My mom's always like, oh, somebody got shot today downtown. She's like, did you not hear about that? And I was like, no, from where? She's like, oh, baby, you don't watch the news? And I was like, no,
Nah.
I hate that show.
That's the worst reality show that we have.
I
That's
hate
been
that
running
show.
forever.
It's terrible.
Because it's made to put fear in you. Like you heard, like people get shot everywhere. Duh. Like I mean, like it's made to make you not want to go outside unless it's the weatherman told you it's gonna be a sunny day.
Right. Yeah, they're 100 because bad news sells like crazy. Nobody wants to hear good stuff.
What is the purpose of the news but to spread gossip and lies?
Right. 100%.
And rumors. Like it's all it is news is personal opinion back with a little fact.
Yeah.
Towards your favor. Like that's all it is. Like, okay, so this person got shot in this neighborhood. So we need to so that's just projecting that particular neighborhood is a bad area. Don't send your kids here. Don't send your money here because that area is bad. That's what the local news does. But you guys, like, I like CNN, C-SPAN, and that little channel that I can't never name that has like the senators all in that big old giant Senate office room.
I know what you're talking
I
about.
watch that type of stuff because that's the
crazy.
real action, and that when they're in that room, that's when the hilarious happens because you have
I've seen some fights break out.
exactly. I'm talking about those
guys in
get
three-piece suits, politicians
just
getting
going
into
at it,
man.
like, you're not going to disrespect my legislation.
Yeah,
you're amending. I'm reclaiming my time.
God, watch this guy punch this guy in the face. He grabbed him by the tie. He's pulling his tie, trying to
you
strangle him with his tie.
Because that's the real news. These are the people deciding whether or not you get a raise this year. These are people making decisions whether or not it's going to cost you $100,000 to build your $20,000 house, or it's going to cost you $20,000 to build your $20,000 house. These are the people who put Walmarts, Targets, and those type of places in your buildings. The only reason we got freeways is because of Walmart. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about, slightly deviating off the subject, but there's a lot of conspiracy theories, and I'm not. Well, maybe I might be a conspiracy theorist to a point, but either way, whether I am or not, I just love them, even if they're completely just ridiculous, because they're so juicy. It's so fun to listen to and talk about.
75% of bullshit, 25% true.
Right, and so there's conspiracies that I've seen that, like, someone said that all this stuff that there is no race war. All it is like our government, our infrastructure is trying to create what people believe is like a race war. They're trying to turn races against each other, whites against blacks, and Mexicans against. Really, I guess it's just everybody against whites or whatever. But they said the conspiracy is so that way we're divided. There's division. You know, we're not the United States of America. We're the divided States of America. Mm-hmm. So then one day, if the governments want to lay the hammer down, like, hey, we're about to be Nazi Germany, y'all, and like we're all too busy fighting each other,
mm-hmm.
you know, that it just completely something that people don't know. There was part of the Patriot Act or something was extended into the internet, and now like the government can go in there and watch and look at all your Google searches. Like this happened, I don't know, like not too long ago while all of this stuff was going on.
I've heard of that. And
hey, if I turn up missing, make sure we get this out here.
Right. Get that message out there.
The CIA is going to come snuff me.
I mean, but the CIA been watching this for a long time, man.
Sure, right. I mean, like, our cameras are basically, not cameras, our
every
phones.
Computer, every phone, any device that has
somebody's rolling their eyes.
Audio, recorded, assembly, anything that can record can be, like, they're watching us right now through our own stuff. So it's like, hey, I mean, and they're only looking for trigger words. The whole purpose of them is to set an algorithm to look for trigger words like bomb, assassination, presidential assassination.
Make sure you edit all this out.
So you have to bleep
all the stuff that he just said.
I just want you to know, government, that I don't want to hurt anyone. I'm just making an example.
This is him. I'll give you his address and his number. Don't come after me.
But you know, I mean,
I get what you're saying.
I love conspiracy theories because
me too, man.
I'm all for them because I believe it's tidbits of information from people who have been removed. And okay, so the reason why I believe conspiracy theories are true is because everybody still talks about Albert Einstein's E equals MC squared.
Theory of relativity.
And it's the theory of relativity. It's still a theory, but people still talk about it to this very day. And it's a theory that people are I believe that people are still trying to put into practice. Time travel, all that good stuff. I mean, if the government has the ability to clone animals, trust and believe they have the ability to do some other stuff.
Here's the thing I like to tell people too. These are the most powerful, intelligent, richest people on the face of the planet. There's no telling what's happening that we just don't know. Right? The kind of machines they could have, the technology. Who knows? They could be like sipping margaritas with aliens right now. Like
my favorite episode of Boondocks with Samuel Jackson's character said,
nice.
You have known knowns and known unknowns and unknown unknowns. So the known knowns are the stuff that you know.
Right.
And then the known unknowns is the stuff that you don't know but you know it because it was unknown, but now you know it.
Right.
And then you have the unknowns of the unknowns is the stuff that you don't know that you don't know that you don't know.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like your mind is not even tapping into the stuff that you're not thinking about because you don't know that you have to think about it.
That sounds crazy. I feel like you're really stoned right now.
I smoked a little pot before I came here. Just a little. But
that's crazy. No, I agree. That's wild though. Like I can't wrap my head around that. That's insane.
Like astrology. Who the heck took the time to figure that out? So before anybody knew what a star was, that was an unknown. And that was an unknown that you didn't know that it was unknown until you actually took the time to.
Real quick side story. I was dating a girl once and we had like a really cool thing going on. Nice little, romantic little outing. And then when she found out what my horoscope, my zodiac was, and it conflicted with hers, she stopped talking to me.
And
we were hitting it off.
Oh
we were really hitting it off.
You're a Sagittarius. I cannot deal with
I can't date with you.
Anymore. Oh my God.
And you're like, what? I'm not like that.
And the people are like, what's your sign? I'll be like, dollar. Yep. Dollar sign. That's something that everybody can agree with, and I don't think anybody can not love it.
Yeah, especially a lot of ladies. Oh, I'm in trouble.
Go digger.
Somebody's throwing right now. They want to kill me.
It's okay. It's okay.
But the conspiracy point about them causing division with people. Here's the thing. Like, even if I say, well, it's kind of silly and it's kind of like whatever, but if I'm saying if, I'm not saying I even believe this stuff. I probably don't, but if it would make sense because like you manipulate other people to get what you want. Here's what I mean. And a simple example. When I was growing up and I was teenagers, we used to play, me and my friends used to play a lot of video games. One video game we played was a wrestling video game. And we would play like triple threat matches or fatal four ways, right? Mm-hmm. Especially ladder matches. You're having to climb to get the belt or the box or whatever. And we would manipulate each other and instigate each other. And, I'd be like, hey, man. I was like, hey, Thomas, don't listen to him. He's just trying to get the belt. He's telling you to attack me, but if you attack me, he's going to get the belt, man. Mm-hmm. Listen. And he's like, oh, yeah, you are. And I'm like totally manipulating him and I'm making him. And then meanwhile, when he does that, I'm going for the belt and I win. And they're all pissed off.
You have to play that long game. See,
right?
The puzzle.
It calls division.
The puzzle is not complete until you have all the pieces. But in order for you to have all the pieces, you got to put the puzzle together bit by bit. You're going to start in a corner. You're going to build that corner. Then you're going to find some other pieces and build another corner. But as long as you keep those all you got to do to keep a puzzle incomplete is take one piece. Just one piece.
Correct. Yeah.
And that ripple effect will just cause a whole drama. So if I'm telling one person, this person says this about you, and then I'm telling the other person, well, this person said this about you, those two people are going to go after each other. And then you're going to go back and you're going to say, dance puppets.
Right.
Dance.
Yeah.
And, manipulation, man, it's a long, long, long game. And the rich and the elite have been playing this for quite some time. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Trumps.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
did our stock just go down?
The people who get
kidding.
to be behind the scenes and a part of the scene, it's just a lot of stuff that we're not aware of because everything is a distraction to me.
And see, my whole point about everything, it's life to me is super simple. Like somebody, you get to know, you talk to somebody, and before you inform and make an informed opinion or judgment on that person, right? And in life's the same way. Like people need to learn more and stop just like, I'm very cynical about everything. Like someone can sit here and tell me something and I'm like, is it though? Is it really?
Really?
Yeah. And then and then if I research them, all right, yeah, you're right. And I feel like everybody should be that. Everybody should it's healthy.
Got to play devil's advocate.
Right. 100%. You got to play devil's advocate. You got to ask questions, and you got to be a detective, man. Be a great, an observer, like the great Socrates before us.
Got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Yeah, you got to study things, but it's just it's a really weird time we're living in right now, right?
It's
just a
man.
Really crazy, weird time. But what do you think is the cure for all this division and all this craziness? What would you say to people that? They just don't know. They're on either side of the fence. Like,
if you're on either side of the fence, I want you to take, if especially if you have kids. If you have kids and you're on this and don't know where you stand on this issue, look at your kids and I want you to tell them to pick out a friend and tell them to describe that friend to you and how they describe that friend to you. And I guarantee you, color. The color of that person is not going to be a factor of why that friend is their friend. If you're on the side and you want your kids to have a better life, ask your kids why their friends are their friends. And I can guarantee you it's not going to be because of the color of their skin. They're going to tell you because that friend does A and B with me. That friend cares about my opinion. It's not how you look. People don't care how much you know. People only know how much you care.
that's
So
good,
if you're
man.
on the wrong
Dang, you
side
almost
of
got
the
me
fence,
choked up there.
ask a child. Ask a child, how do you pick your friend?
Right. That's really in the webinars that I do. I talk about the power of a child's mentality,
Mhm.
right? Their level of impressionabilism and the way they look at the world through this filter that we don't have.
Like kids and babies are the most gangsterous people in the
Yeah.
world. Like I would love
Because
to
what they
have,
want is all in here. It's all here what they want. It's
I would like
true.
to have a mentality of a baby because babies don't give
Right.
a baby will drop a cheeseburger on the ground and be like, you know what? I'm finna pick that cheeseburger up and put it back in my mouth because they don't care. The kids and babies have zero fear, and their hearts and minds are open. So having that childlike mentality when we come down to viewing things, not immature, but having a childlike view of it, it'll make the world a better place.
Man, that's heavy, bro. I like it.
Gotta
So
pick up what I'm putting down.
I'm so glad that you came on the show, man. I like it. I like this. So, besides all this stuff, obviously, we talked a lot about the so-called race war going on. What is something that you personally, Corey, what are you dealing with? What are you wrestling with right now, man?
Man,
And how can you overcome that?
what I wrestle with daily is pride.
What do you mean?
Pride in not having the ability to say I need help. Pride in not having the ability to say I'm sorry. Pride in not having the ability to say I am weak. Because today's society doesn't understand, like as a black man you grow up with like 1,001 pressures. Because one, I have to be I'm told to be a man, not to cry from when I'm a child. I'm told not to do a whole lot of talking, so I'm told not to communicate. I'm told not to cry and not to be emotional for 18 years. And then someone says, okay, now you need to get you a wife and raise a family. But your wife wants you to cry, she wants you to communicate, and she wants to talk to you. And then all of a sudden you've got to fix 18 years of hard wiring to be
Now,
Mr. Macho.
are you married with
No.
the same? No. Okay.
No, not married, but these are the things that I in my religion we discuss. In my men's fellowship group we discuss. And pride, I know that's my biggest issue. And that's what I struggle with when it comes down just with me in the world. Because I don't like to look weak. I was told not to be weak. But so even the king of the jungle get tired.
It's it all kind of comes down to ego, right?
Mhm.
Like you have to let go of your ego to kind of start moving forward. And
Take yourself out the center.
yeah, sometimes it's a weird thing because you're just kind of it's like a program, right? You grew up like you said, being told that, so that's what's in your head, and you have to kind of like tinker and rewire
The
those.
conditions on which I was programmed, like just like with racism, these are the conditions that I was raised with, and then even then, I have to make the cognitive choice to change it.
Right. Oh yeah, that's incredible. I asked you to be on the show because you had posted something on Facebook that I had seen, and it was you were talking about all the stuff going on, just all the craziness going on in the world with the police brutality and the racism and whatnot, and you were so sincere in it, man. You got emotional, and then you said something that really touched me and triggered me. Not to be too sensitive about it or whatever. Who cares? But you got emotional and you said that you just love people, and I feel like that's. I mean, what more is there than that, right?
I mean, it's nothing more. Like I said, I'm heavy in my faith, with my walk with the God I serve, and He teaches me that He loved everybody, even the ones who didn't like Him, the ones who crucified Him, the ones who broke Him down in front of legions of people because He believed a certain type of way, and He loved those people no matter what. So I can't be hard on the world and not love people for who they are and the mistakes and the flaws that they have after knowing that someone has made that kind of sacrifice for me, knowing the flaws and mistakes
Sure.
that I
Yeah,
have.
I agree 100%. People are flawed. That we are perfectly imperfect,
Ah,
you
yes.
know? And what really bugs me is there's all the stone throwers out there, right? The whole like, whether you believe in the Bible or not, but that passage, that parable of like, let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. I
Hmm.
mean, that's like a real thing. Like everybody's quick to throw stones and nobody wants to take that like judgmental pendulum and point it back at themselves.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, oh, this guy did this girl did that. What have you done? What have you done?
People like
Right.
being gay is wrong, but beating on your girlfriend is just as wrong.
Right. It's and like celebrities were dealing with a lot of that, like comedians and stuff, because they got into some crazy stuff and like they get demonized immediately, even if they apologize, even if they said they were sorry or whatever. No matter who it is, they get demonized for it, and then they
Hmm.
lose their careers and all this other stuff. And it's just so weird that we live in this kind of like unforgiving, like kind of cancel culture, and I just don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Because people don't like to forgive. It's easy to hold a grudge.
That's very true. It is harder to forgive and to you know That's so weird
And
though,
like I
man.
said, that's a pride thing.
Yeah,
Saying I'm
it's that
wrong
ego thing.
and I'm sorry brings you down to a humble level, and brings you down to a level of humility that a lot of people are just not prepared for. Like to be a speck in someone else's picture, a lot of people don't know how to deal, so they want to paint their own mural because you don't want to be a dot in somebody else's photo. You don't know, no, other people know how to exist in someone else's background. And sometimes it's okay to exist in someone else's background, but also have your own thing. And we have this cancel culture because it's easy to say, well, because I don't agree with that person, let's cancel that person. And all you have to do, like with a bad restaurant review, for every two people gonna tell two more people when it's bad, but every time you have a good experience, it's gonna take twice as long because that one person is only gonna tell one other person, or they might not tell anybody at all. But a bad experience, they're gonna tell two people, and those two people are gonna tell two more people, and they'll not even go to the restaurant, but they're just gonna say, "Well, that person had a bad experience, so I'm not gonna go because they had a bad."
It's so weird how that works, man. We're human beings are such weird animals.
Monkey see, monkey do, man.
We're such weird creatures. Guys, stop being weird.
That's why I
Stop.
envy animals. They so free.
I know, right? That's like I love the concept of a dog, right? He's free, he doesn't care, he's licking his crotch. And also, a dog gives you unconditional, undivided love.
I have two of them. I know.
And they don't want anything. You could be mean to them, you leave them for hours, and it don't matter. They still for no reason at all.
Love you.
Good reason, no reason, bad reason.
You
They
be at
love you.
work 10 hours, and they gonna love you as this
Yeah,
is their first time seeing you.
it's a thing. Like I gotta get a dog. Right now, there's like cat lovers. Like, what? My cat's like that.
I mean, but
I don't know though.
I
Our
don't like
cats,
cats because I
cats are
can't
too
trust the
privileged.
cat, man.
Also, you have to work for a cat's affection. Somebody told me this
Yes.
once. So they were like, "But dogs are easy; they love you instantly. But a cat, you have to work for their affections, and that work." And I was like, "Yeah, but I
Why,
don't know
why I
though."
gotta work for your affection and I'm feeding
Right?
you?
Because like, if you work for a cat's affections and you get it, you're still not going to get everything. They're not going to love you unconditionally. Case in point, if a burglar came in your house and he's beating the hell out of you, you're about to get killed.
Cat
That
gonna walk
cat
right past you.
is going to walk right past you, or he's going to hide in a corner. If you have a dog, even if it's like a little bitty dog, they might try to like bark or something until they get
Thank you.
kicked. right?
That is why
But a
dogs are better.
cat will sit there and watch you get murdered.
A dog will let you know that someone's outside your door.
I mean, unless you've got like a really big cat, like the Tiger King, and then he'll just kill everybody.
That damn Carol Baskins.
Do you think she killed her husband?
Hell yeah, I think she killed her husband. Chopped him up in little bitty
Come
catnip
on,
pieces.
man. Give her a fair trial
Man,
here.
She needs a fair trial, but she did it. She did it. And she's got the best cover for it. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, but yeah, the other dude's in jail. What's his name?
Joe Exotic. Yeah,
Joe
he's
Exotic.
in jail.
He's in super jail.
For inciting for paying somebody
to kill the murderer.
Kill somebody. Nobody got killed.
Right.
The money still was taken.
Yeah.
And the guy who took the money is free.
I paid this guy to kill this murderer. And it didn't happen, and I'm in prison now.
And I'm in prison for it. Like, so I not only did I go to jail, but I lost five grand.
That guy was so weird. Like, he had giant. So when that show first came out, I was like, all right, so these are people that have living, breathing, real life monsters in their backyard.
For pets.
These are different kinds of humans.
First of all, I knew Joe Exotic was a different kind of human because he made 3 grown men. 3 heterosexual men marry him.
I know, man.
And they were all in love together. Happily.
He was such a weird guy, right? He's like this tiger wrangler, homosexual libertarian that ran for governor.
It was country as hell.
Right. It's the weirdest, like, he's a walking, talking enigma, you know?
And it's just like, you like how he lost, I don't even understand. Like, how did Joe Exotic lose an election but Donald Trump won?
I don't know, man.
And that dude's way more eccentric. Way more eccentric than Donald Trump.
I don't know.
I would vote for Joe Exotic for president.
Would you for real?
A dude who keeps cats for a living,
yeah.
he know how to handle
like
angry people.
Yeah, I like him because he's a libertarian. I used to say I was a libertarian back in the day, but I don't care anymore. But yeah, that guy was. I wonder if he's ever going to get out of prison.
He should.
Some celebrity was trying to make. Was it Cardi B or somebody was trying to make a fund for him to get out of jail?
He needs to get out of jail. Free Joe Exotic, Carol Baskins.
Tiger King Part 2. Ladies and gentlemen, coming at Netflix near you.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be the best show on this side of the Mason-Dixon line.
So, real quick, I'm gonna close up. But you were telling me earlier you're not originally from Alabama, correct?
No, sir. Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan.
313.
Holla at the Wolverines. My buddy, my editor, I was telling you he's got family up in Michigan. I hope they watch this. Hope they watch this episode. I got one of your guys here, folks.
Go Blue.
I got one of your guys.
The home of Tom Brady.
Let me ask you a question. Do you hate Ohio? I feel like I went up there and none of his family, they don't like football and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine, whatever, because they're all artsy and stuff. But they hate Ohio. And I was like,
can't hate Ohio.
That's like a
because
weird
I have family in Ohio.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle lives in Ohio.
But like, okay, so it's deeper. Like when you're from Detroit, like growing up, it's deeper. Like when it's a whole style difference. Like it's really just a clash. Like people in Detroit think that people in Ohio are country. So that's all it is. It's just people just classism. People just think they're better just because they dress a little bit nice. But everybody broke.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like the stigma that Alabama gets. Like we're all talk like us, boys.
Oh, country people down here, it's so wonderful. I've been in the South and I haven't left. That sweet teas has swelled my heart up.
Somebody in Chicago said they love my sweet redneck accent.
Man, like when I go home, my family's gonna make fun of me. They be like, "You sound so country," but I be like, "All y'all sound just like me."
Oh my god, it's so hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
One thing I'm gonna tell you about Michigan that is really beautiful, because down here in Alabama we're at the end of the Appalachians, so there's lots of hills and valleys and stuff. But in Michigan it's all flat. And what's beautiful about that is when the sun's setting, that horizon I've never seen anything like it. It's wild. It is wild. I love it.
It's so weird because when you say that, that's like the first thing I noticed when I moved out. And I was like, man, y'all got a lot of hills. Like even my house sits on top of a hill.
Right.
And I'm like, and I got a hill behind my house.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, y'all got a lot of hills, man. Y'all don't know no reason that I believe if you live in Alabama, you have to have a car.
Oh,
like if
yeah.
you not have a car, like that Uber
truck.
budget. Yeah, you got to have you a Ford F-150. Bag on.
Oh man! So, have you ever been to Navy Pier up there?
Navy
guess
Pier? No, I haven't been to Navy Pier.
it connects. What, Matt? Isn't it? It's not in Michigan though. It's in Chicago, but it connects or something. Doesn't the no? Oh, well, I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't listen to me. Somebody right now is like, "What is he talking about?" Navy Pier's in Chicago.
Please don't get on him, because if you can listen to Trump, then people make mistakes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, this has been awesome, man.
It was great.
I'm
I
gonna wrap
enjoyed
it
it.
up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you had fun. Did you have fun?
I had a great time. I thank you for having me.
You got to come back, man. I had a blast with you. We got to cover. We got to cover. We talked about a lot of serious stuff too. We didn't get really into our nerd stuff, man. Next, I want to talk to you about some comic book. Talk about Ninja Turtles.
Man, we can talk about whatever, man.
I could talk to you because now that I know you're a fan, I could talk to you about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the whole podcast.
Man, I can bring my collection, and we
All right.
we can go into a whole dive into why the first Ninja Turtle live action movie will forever and always be the best one
Of all time.
Period.
Dude, up high. Cowabunga! Finally, somebody that speak on my language.
Cowabunga, dudes.
Dude.
I made another funny.
Oh my God, I love it. Corey, I appreciate it, man. Seriously, so you said it. Next time you're going to come back, bring your turtle memorabilia, and we're going to talk about it all podcast, dude. Appreciate it.
It was good to have you, man.
Yeah, man.
We can do this again, and I thank you.
Heck yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast show for the average Joe. Tell me, what are you wrestling with? How can you beat it? Peace.
Deuces.